How hard is it to define yourself in today's age and society? With African American musicians and multi-instrumentalists and composers alike, they're always defined on the fringes of R&B or on hip-hop, and if they're seen as anything else outside of those genres, they have a hard time defining them as that one specific genre. Today, my guests are Dameun Strange of Moore's Blackmon and dVRG, keyboardist of Heiruspecs. We talk with them about what it's like to remain genreless and to be able to create the music that they want to make in the space that they want to make it in. I'm Egypto Knuckles, and this is another episode of Tacos and Tastemakers. For this episode, I link up with Dameun Strange and dVRG at La Tapatia over on the outskirts of Roseville. Like most of the taquerias we visited, La Tapatia is a family-owned operation helmed by Mama Marta, whose love for Guadalajara comes out bursting in every dish, from the traditional tacos to its star menu item, the torta ahogada. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Egypto Knuckles. Welcome to another episode of Tacos and Tastemakers. In today's episode, I am welcomed by two esteemed guests of the music community here in Minneapolis. On my left is Dameun Strange, member of Moore's Blackmon, and also a composer in his own right who just finished writing his first opera known as Mother King. Dameun Strange, welcome to the show. And on my right, keyboardist for Heiruspecs and also a composer and in his own right, dVRG, aka DeVon Gray. Welcome to Tacos and Tastemakers.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to be here. Yeah. Great to be here. So, beginning this discussion, I'm interested in you guys' paths as far as what you guys do as especially being multi-instrumentalists, as well as composers and songwriters in your own right. As far as that's concerned, I know that when I was growing up, one of the aha moments for me in seeing African American folks do different music and things of that nature was always Fade to Black on MTV. It was where it caught Lenny Kravitz, catching Michelle Indigay on cello, to fringe artists who were doing different stuff with rap and R&B and stuff like that. When was the first time that y'all heard music in your household, and what was that moment like for y'all? Walk me through that.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that you talk about that first moment. I'm thinking at the end of this year that I was going to start a blog about pop music that influenced my experimental music that I'm trying to do.
Absolutely.
And at the top of that list is actually Loving You by Minnie Riperton.
Oh, Minnie.
That's actually the first song that I recall hearing, and I think I was probably 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom was a singer. And so when we had our first house, her band practiced in the basement of our house.
Absolutely.
And so I heard them practicing all the time, and I heard her singing all the time. I probably heard her singing in utero.
My parents were traditional black.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Earth, Wind & Fire is definitely on the turntable, as well as Minnie Riperton and Stevie Wonder, all the Motown. Four Tops was actually probably one of the first groups that I was there's something there. There's something that touches me or connects with me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
in finding those paths to music, I guess what were your first experiences playing music as far as that's concerned? I know for me, the first time I started DJing was around the time that I was 18. So I was wondering what those first formative moments were like for you guys when it came to playing in respective bands that you were in, or actually playing music live for the first time, things of that nature.
Really, I think it was jazz band. Probably ninth grade, we had a new teacher. I went to a tiny school in D.C. and we had a minimal instrumental program. But this teacher came when I was in ninth grade, and he was actually a choral teacher, but he subbed in our band class.
Okay.
And the day that he subbed, he taught us the blues scale.
Ooh.
And it was just he just wanted to teach us to improvise. It's oh, you guys don't know the blues scale. And I was no.
Right.
And it was that little thing that this teacher did was to teach me the scale and say, you can play any note in the scale, like, you know, anytime you want to, and that's like really the only structure I want you to worry about. And I was like, what? You mean I don't have to read this? I can play any note, and that was it for me. Like, I love music, but from that point on, I was just like, well, here we go. I can like make up my own stuff, and you know, this is what I want to do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was 9th grade, Mr. Irwin.
Yeah.
Same as you were saying, like played in band and orchestra, so you're playing other people's music. This cultural legacy of ours.
Right.
And yeah, that same joy that I got playing with the gospel choir at church wasn't there in the wind ensemble or orchestra.
Absolutely.
Until came home one day, doing my normal student routine, put the backpack down, get a snack, turn the radio on, get ready to do homework. The classical station was my jam for background homework soundtrack.
Yeah,
Nice.
Turn it on, this piece was on, and I was immediately captivated. Didn't know what it was, didn't know anything about it, but I remember sitting there for the next 50 minutes just enthralled. I was like, holy shit. I
Yeah.
didn't know music could do that.
Right.
And it turned out to be Hector Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique,
Wow.
which is seminal work of Romanticism, French composer in the 1820s.
Right.
And, you know, finally went to the library, got a disc of it, reading the liner notes. I was like, wait a minute, he wrote this in a fit after an opium haze? I was like, I don't know what any of this means.
Now that ain't hip hop as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Didn't know what it meant then, but I was like, okay, just log that, put a pin in there, come back to that later.
Right.
Joy that how people responded to your music, and this to tie into another sort of old white guy that kind of influenced me. I always tell this story, because this was like I think it was pre-DC Youth Orchestra program.
Right.
Our church, again, was the high music. We would do Handel's Messiah every first Sunday in Advent.
Yeah.
And I remember going to see it, or the time I remember experiencing it for the first time was when I was 5. Now, I may have seen it before and gone to it, but I remember that time particularly like noticing the people and how they responded to the performers, and that was one of the things that inspired me to want to continue with music and do music, even if I was playing music by other people.
Absolutely.
And the story I always tell about Handel is that I didn't know Handel was white,
Right.
because in my church, like when we performed it, it was all black folks. Like it was an all black choir, the all black orchestra, and a conductor who was black. And so for a long time, I was just like, this is black music. You know,
Right.
Handel is a black dude, obviously,
Right.
because we're singing it in my church,
Right.
And like, and you know, that's what I thought. And we had a lot in common because he suffered from depression.
Absolutely.
You know, he was prolific, and I think I write a lot, to just keep churning. And but again, I always thought that until I was probably about 9 or 10, I think I was 9, and I found out that he was an old white dude.
Right.
But I felt connected to him.
Absolutely. Like, finding that identity and finding that sense of purpose in classical, in like specifically classical compositions, and for you, dVRG, especially with playing in a hip hop band like Heiruspecs, and then like translating that experience to like more so like dealing with other hip hop and R&B musicians and things of that nature, as well as taking that to country with Chastity Brown, who's doing more folk Americana type stuff and things of that nature. Like, as far as your adventures as composers go, like, how tough has it been to define what you do?
Tough, yes, but if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
If you're a creator, you are someone who thinks about yourself and your voice a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe spend more time doing that than you do the actual work.
Absolutely.
And for me, I've always fought with labeling and with genre and being pigeonholed because I don't like it.
Absolutely.
I believe in an Ellingtonian quote. He said there are 2 types of music: good music and the other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for me. I only want to fuck with the good music.
Absolutely.
The other stuff is also necessary and serves a purpose, but fuck we'll just leave that for other people.
Absolutely.
In hopes that I won't be responsible for putting any bullshit out into the universe. Just the good shit.
Absolutely. Like Mo Better Blues, if you play good music, the people will come. Simple as that.
Absolutely. It's simple. And that's what I always want to get back to is simplicity. And as a performer, same deal. I just play the way that I play. And I look for opportunities that want me to come in and just do me. So with Heiruspecs, that's exactly what it was. You come in as you are and bring your voice to this ensemble. And now I don't take gigs unless I can be the true self.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, that whole thing about genre, sometimes I like to play with it. You know, I've created more genres in my 27 years
Right.
that don't exist anymore because I'm just like, I don't know what to call it. So I just make up some name. Like, I think more the Blackmon, what do we call it? The name I came up with for that initially was psychedelic jazz. Psychedelic, electronic future jazz or funk jazz. And I was just like, that's what it's called. And people was like, what does that mean? I was like, I just told you. It's like, and that's what we did with more Blackmon. Now it's hard for us to book ourselves. Guys like playing like genreless music.
Absolutely.
But we love it. It's been like my favorite performance experience ever. 'Cause I know every time I get up on that stage, like I'm being my authentic self, and we're playing music that is authentic to us, and we're not really trying to care where people want to place us.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of how we go onto the stage, really.
What's one piece of advice that both of you could give to the community at large in, trying to work more with diverse composers of color specifically, as well as multi-instrumentalists specifically, in like what they bring to the table, and specifically trying to reach out to that community a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
First of all, everyone should be reaching out to everyone all the time.
Facts.
These bullshit barriers and divisions that we think we have to abide by, we doubted during the process because that's when we need it. It's too easy to get locked into our caves of me and our caves of now, working on our projects. But no, that's what I've been doing this last year, especially is making sure I stay in touch with my network, my community, and checking in with my people and letting them know what's up with me. So more of that, and just always reading and writing.
Absolutely. How about for you, Dameun?
No, I think that's true. Like, I think I answered a similar question like this to someone who was moved from Minnesota, from outside of Minnesota, finding it challenging to build a community, and I think this artist was also sort of out there in terms of her work. And I was like, you just have to find your people, your clique, building that broader so we can support each other more, like I said.
Absolutely.
And space. We need more space for experimentation.
Space is essential, especially in this conversation.
We just need space for us to do our work and not have to worry about genre or people defining us.
Absolutely. Just thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Tacos and Tastemakers. I'm your man with the master plan, Egypto Knuckles. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. After that, I'd like to give a big shout out to my guests, Dameun Strange and dVRG. What you gentlemen got going on?
Well, I'm hoping to give a little taste of some of the themes from the next opera this spring in the next few months. Always going to be performing at least a couple of times a month with Morris Blackmon. So go to our Facebook page at Morris Blackmon, or go to DameunStrange.com to find out more.
And for you, dVRG, what you got?
Not a lot of performing things on the books coming up, which is, in my mind, always a good thing.
Right.
I've got some recording projects that are the focus right now.
Absolutely.
A brilliant pianist wants to record some of my solo piano works.
Oh, nice.
So I'm working on scores for her right now, and a few other commissions that are overdue, but have performers and ensemble that are anxiously waiting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you're just watching this again, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Tacos and Tastemakers. I'm Egypto Knuckles. That's Dameun Strange. That's dVRG. And we say peace. We out.